think you already know the Strait of Hormuz? You believe it is nothing more than a military flashpoint, a narrow corridor of 39 kilometers, where warships circle, satellites sweep, and the whole world holds its breath over oil. Because that is the only version anyone has ever thought worth telling you. But have you ever asked yourself what lives beneath those warships? Why dolphins have been nursing their calves in these same waters for thousands of years, indifferent to every radar sweep above them? Why a coral reef impossible by every law of modern science continues to grow here, in temperatures that have already killed every comparable reef system on Earth? Forget the energy maps, forget the headlines. Hormuz is not a dry geopolitical coordinate. It is a place where a lagoon on a forgotten coastline bleeds from pale pink to deep crimson as the light shifts across it, where dugongs graze on ancient seagrass beds in the shadow of oil tankers, slow and unhurried, as if the concept of urgency was invented after them, where a mangrove forest holds the entire Persian Gulf fishery, together from its roots, and almost no one knows it exists. This is not a strait measured in barrels or missile ranges. This is a world where life has been quietly enduring, adapting, and insisting on its own existence long before any empire thought to draw a border across it. This is Unreal Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz is the most consequential choke point on Earth, not because of its size, but because of what passes through it and what has no way around it. Every day, between 17 and 21 million barrels of crude oil move through this corridor, roughly 1/5 of all oil traded globally. Iran holds the northern shore, Oman holds the southern. The United States Fifth Fleet patrols the waters between. For more than 40 years, the question of whether this corridor could be closed, weaponized, made impassable, has been one of the defining anxieties of global energy security. But Hormuz is also a sea. It has currents, tidal cycles, breeding grounds, migration corridors. It has thousands of years of human settlement along its shores, communities that existed long before the concept of strategic choke point was invented, and that continue alongside it now, organized around the same tides and fish runs they always have been. What follows is not the Hormuz of the news cycle. It is the Hormuz beneath in the shallows of Hengam, the tidal flats of Naz, the protected waters around Farur, the pink lagoon at Makran, the mangrove roots of Keshem, the coral beds below Kish, each one a world the satellite cannot read. Hengam sits between Keshem Island and the Iranian mainland, positioned only a few nautical miles from the main shipping lane of the Strait of Hormuz. On a regional map, it barely registers a small ridge of limestone and sand that offers no strategic value and attracts no military attention. Its southern face is white cliff, dropping directly into water, the color of pale turquoise. Its northern shore is the opposite in every sense. Flat, tidal, mudflat, shallow, still, and unremarkable until the light falls low across it. That is when the dolphins arrive. Every morning, before the heat has settled into the day, hundreds of Indo-Pacific bottlenose dolphins appear in the northern shallows of Hengam, one of the densest, naturally occurring dolphin populations in the entire Persian Gulf. They do not avoid boats, they move toward them. They thread between oars, surface, alongside moving skiffs, travel at the same speed without apparent effort. The gap between a dolphin and a person standing at the rail is sometimes the length of one outstretched arm. This is not a performance for visitors. It is simply what the dolphins of Hengam do in a stretch of water that also happens to be one of the most heavily monitored maritime corridors on the planet. The fishing village on the island has no paved roads, no fixed bridge to the mainland. Life here is organized around tidal rhythms in a way that has not changed substantially in centuries. Boats launch when the tide lifts them, return when it drops. The fishermen of Hengam know individual dolphin pods the way they know neighbors, by the shape of a dorsal fin, by a scar pattern on the flank, by which section of the northern shallows a particular group tends to favor. This is not sentiment. It is the accumulated knowledge of people who depend, professionally, on understanding what lives in these waters. Green turtles and loggerhead turtles have used the sand beaches of Hengam as nesting sites for thousands of years, long before this passage appeared on any map as a geopolitical boundary, long before disputed waters entered any diplomat's vocabulary. To a loggerhead navigating by magnetic field and memory, this is simply the shore she was born on, the shore she will return to. The same beach across thousands of years of individual returns. But the acoustic environment of those waters has changed. The density of vessel traffic through Hormuz produces a constant, low-frequency noise floor that disrupts the echolocation systems the dolphins depend on for navigation and communication. Trace petroleum contamination accumulates along the Gulf's currents and settles into the sediment where turtle eggs incubate. Modern fishing nets, set deeper than traditional gear, create entanglement hazards for turtles feeding on jellyfish below the surface. None of this produces a visible crisis. There are no headlines. The pressure is slow, cumulative, and largely invisible, the kind of erosion that does not announce itself until something simply stops returning one season. Places like Hengam Do not ask which nation's warships are passing overhead. They only continue doing what they have done for thousands of years, holding life in a place that the world has learned to see only as a threat. The Naz Islands lie close to the shore of Bandar Abbas, Iran's largest southern port city, positioned at the mouth of the Strait of Hormuz. What makes Naz distinctive is not visible from a boat at full tide. It becomes visible only when the water recedes, and it becomes extraordinary only in low morning light. When the tide drops, sandbars connect the small islands to each other and back to the coast, creating elevated paths across a flat expanse of water so shallow that a person can walk from the shore to the outer islands without the water reaching their knees. On the surface of that water, perfectly still, just deep enough to mirror thousands of flamingos stand. The surrounding tidal shallows at Naz are clear enough and calm enough that the water becomes a functional mirror. It reflects the sky, the birds, the moving clouds above. In the right light, the line between island and sky dissolves entirely. The flamingos appear to be standing in open air, suspended between two identical horizons. The visual logic of the scene briefly fails. It is the kind of image the eye accepts before the mind does. When the tide is out, local residents walk the exposed flats, collecting shellfish, small crabs, mollusks, and intertidal organisms harvested by hand. The work is methodical, bent at the waist, moving across a surface that catches the light like hammered copper, filling small bags with what the tidal zone yields. For many families along this coast, this is the primary income. A practice continuous enough across generations that its techniques have never needed to be formally documented because they have simply never stopped being used. Naz is not a permanent colony for flamingos. It is a transit point, one of the critical stopovers on a migratory corridor connecting Central Asia and East Africa, funneled through the Hormuz Passage. The flamingos arrive here on schedules older than any political boundary in the region. They were using this stop millions of years before any government claimed this coastline. The threat to Naz is not dramatic, it is incremental. Bandar Abbas is expanding along its waterfront port infrastructure, oil storage facilities, light industrial zones pressing toward the tidal margins. The shallow wetlands that sustain Naz's ecology are being reduced from both sides. Reclaimed land advancing from the shore and rising sea levels altering the tidal dynamics that make the flats productive in the first place. The flamingos have no mechanism for petition. They will simply stop arriving when the conditions that brought them here are gone. NAS does not appear on international tourism maps. It does not appear in conflict reporting. But every morning, thousands of birds still stand in its shallows, a reminder that beauty does not require an audience to persist. Farur lies within Iran's marine protected zone in the Persian Gulf, a small island with white sand, beaches unmarked by footprints, water clear enough to see the seafloor from the deck of a passing vessel. There are no tourist facilities here, no infrastructure of any kind. What Farur has is what the sustained absence of development has allowed it to keep. Under the surface of the water surrounding Farur, dugongs are grazing on seagrass. A dugong is a marine mammal that breathes air. It is the closest living relative of the elephant on Earth, and it behaves accordingly. Large, up to 400 kilograms, slow-moving, and almost entirely without aggression. It eats only seagrass, which it crops along the seafloor in methodical rows, leaving visible feeding trails in the sediment behind it. It surfaces briefly every few minutes to breathe, then descends again. Its entire existence is organized around the location of adequate grass and the absence of disturbance. The Persian Gulf dugong population, one of the last viable populations remaining anywhere in the world, has found both, for now, around Farur. The fishermen of the small islands surrounding Farur hunted dugongs for centuries. This is not a history that can be softened. Dugong meat and oil were significant food sources for coastal communities throughout the Persian Gulf, and the hunting was intensive enough across multiple generations to reduce the population substantially from its historical numbers. What has shifted in recent decades is the calculation that some fishing communities have made in response to the disappearance of the animals themselves. Seagrass beds without dugongs become destabilized. Destabilized seagrass releases sediment that clouds the water and smothers the juvenile fish habitat it once protected. Some of the fishermen who once hunted dugong have begun protecting the seagrass beds instead, not as a conservation gesture, but as a practical one, because they understood before any formal study confirmed it. The absence of dugong eventually means empty nets. The ancient Arabic term for dugong translates roughly as sea cow, not for any physical resemblance, but for its behavior. It grazes in slow groups, moves without urgency, and is indifferent to the concept of danger, in a way that reflects an evolutionary history in which it had no natural predators large enough to threaten it. For several centuries across the Persian Gulf coast, the seasonal dugong hunt was part of the productive cycle that fed communities and fueled local trade. The history of the dugong in this region is inseparable from the history of human settlement. Here, they declined together, generation by generation, in a relationship too gradual to register as an alarm until the numbers were already critical. The leading cause of dugong mortality in the Persian Gulf today is propeller strike contact with vessel engine blades that the animals cannot hear approaching through the acoustic background of a maritime highway. Oil contamination is destroying the seagrass they depend on. The naval and commercial traffic concentrated around Hormuz generates noise levels that interfere with their ability to orient. The remaining Persian Gulf dugong population is estimated at a few hundred individuals. It is declining. Dugongs do not know that Hormuz is a geopolitical flashpoint. They only know that it has seagrass. And every day, they continue grazing along the bottom of one of the world's busiest waterways, a quiet insistence on existing that most of the world will not notice before it ends. Chabahar sits at the extreme southeastern corner of Iran, on the Makran coast of the Arabian Sea, not the Persian Gulf. This is where the Strait of Hormuz finally opens into open ocean. Far enough from the strait's center of gravity to escape most global attention. Close enough to feel the weight of everything Hormuz concentrates. Just outside the city, beside a stretch of coast that most of the world has never located on a map, Lipar Lagoon turns pink. The color is produced by Dunaliella salina, a photosynthetic microorganism that blooms in hypersaline water and shifts the lagoon's surface from pale blush to deep crimson, depending on the season and the angle of the light. The same phenomenon occurs in certain lakes in Australia and Spain, where it draws significant international attention. At Lipar, it occurs in near-total obscurity, one of the least-known pink lagoons on Earth, on one of the least-visited coasts in Iran, shifting color through the hours of each day without an audience, because almost no one knows it is there. The Baluch communities along the Makran coast carry a cultural identity distinct from the Bandari people farther west along the Persian Gulf. The vessels here are dugout canoes rather than the dhow-style boats common throughout Hormuz. The spice profiles of the food lean toward the Indian subcontinent rather than the Arabian Peninsula. The language spoken is Baluchi, not Farsi. Each year, when whale sharks move through the coastal waters off Chabahar, certain fishing families organize seasonal encounters alongside the animals, not to hunt, but to guide small boats of visitors in proximity to them. These are among a small number of communities anywhere in the world for whom whale shark migration has become a reliable and recurring part of the annual productive calendar. The Makran coast was one of the earliest maritime corridors in the ancient world. In 325 BCE, Alexander of Macedon marched his army along this shore on the return from India, a passage that has since been recorded as one of the most catastrophic in his campaigns, during which a significant portion of his forces died of dehydration and starvation before reaching the Persian interior. The sea here does not yield easily to anyone. The coast that consumed a portion of history's most experienced army has been doing exactly what it has always done, indifferent to the reputation of whoever approaches it. Chabahar is now the subject of concentrated geopolitical investment. India, Pakistan, China, and Iran are each engaged with the port's development in different capacities. A free trade zone, a strategic counterweight to Pakistan's Gwadar port, a potential overland corridor bypassing the Strait of Hormuz entirely. The scale of development being planned for this coastline is substantial enough to permanently alter the tidal ecology that the whale sharks follow and the wetland chemistry that gives Lipar its color. The question no one has formally answered is whether it is possible to build a world-class strategic port without eliminating the conditions that made this coast worth something in the first place. Lipar is not on any strategic map. The whale sharks do not know that Chabahar is being repositioned as a piece in a larger contest for regional influence. But the lagoon's color still changes with the light each day, on its own schedule, independent of everything happening on the water outside it. Viewed from altitude at high tide, the Hara mangrove forest along the northern shore of Keshem Island appears as a single landmass, a dense green canopy floating on the surface of the Persian Gulf, fully separated from the world above the waterline. At low tide, the image inverts. The canopy remains. What emerges beneath it is the architecture that holds it in place, a dense lattice of aerial roots extending from trunk to sediment, each one a structural member in a living system that coastal engineers have been studying for decades as a model for resilient shoreline construction. Watching one scale, the exposed root of a Hara mangrove is watching the functional logic of a transition that occurred roughly 375 million years ago, when the first vertebrate animals moved from aquatic to terrestrial environments. The fishermen of Keshem have maintained a traditional prohibition against cutting Hara mangroves across several generations, not as a formal regulatory measure, but as accumulated knowledge. In years when the forest was damaged or reduced, the catch declined with it. They do not use the vocabulary of ecology to describe this relationship. They describe it as the way things are, the observed fact that the health of the forest and the abundance of the catch have tracked each other across every living memory anyone on the island can access. The reason is structural. "90% of the commercially significant fish species in the Persian Gulf complete their juvenile phase inside mangrove systems. The root architecture provides physical shelter from predators during the period when the fish are most vulnerable. The organic material falling from the canopy fuels a microbial food web that feeds the zooplankton that feeds those juvenile fish. Every trawler that returns to a Gulf port with a full hold is, in some material sense, drawing on an investment that was made in a mangrove root system months or years earlier. Hara is not a scenic feature of the Kish coastline. It is the productive foundation of the entire Hormuz fishery. Petroleum residue from the tanker traffic moving through Hormuz accumulates in mangrove sediment, which is also where fish larvae develop. Warming water is altering tidal cycles in ways that affect the forest's ability to flush toxins and maintain the sediment chemistry its root system requires. The forest is contracting, measurable year over year by satellite imagery that almost no one outside a narrow community of marine biologists ever reviews. Because it happens in the mud, underwater, in a forest, on an island, in a strait, most people associate that interrupt a news cycle. If the Strait of Hormuz were closed tomorrow by military action, markets would register it within hours. If Hara continues on its current trajectory, the signal will arrive in the form of fishing boats, returning to Keshem with emptier holds each season. By the time the pattern is unmistakable, the damage will already be irreversible. Kish is Iran's primary free trade zone, a hub of duty-free retail, resort hotels, golf courses, and shopping complexes that draws several million visitors per year. It is, by deliberate design, the most commercially developed island in the Persian Gulf. And immediately below its coastline, within meters of the surface, a coral reef is alive. This reef should not exist. The Persian Gulf, in summer, reaches surface temperatures of 35 degrees Celsius, approximately 10 degrees above the thermal threshold, at which most of the world's coral systems begin the bleaching process that precedes mass mortality. Salinity here runs roughly double that of the open ocean. By the standard parameters used to model coral viability globally, the waters around Kish are too warm, too saline, and too chemically stressed to support a functioning reef system. And yet the reef is there. It has been there, in various forms, for longer than any commercial or political arrangement that has ever operated above it. The explanation researchers are currently pursuing is genetic. The Kish corals appear to carry thermal tolerance mechanisms expressed at the cellular level that allow them to maintain metabolic function in conditions that would trigger collapse in reef systems in the Red Sea, the Indo-Pacific, or the Caribbean. As global ocean temperatures rise and bleaching events become more frequent and more severe, the genetic library encoded in Persian Gulf coral may represent something with no equivalent elsewhere on Earth. A natural record of how reef organisms can adapt to the thermal regime that the rest of the world is moving toward. Scientists are coming to Kish not to observe the reef. They are coming to sequence it. The majority of Kish's visitors arrive for the shopping. The island's commercial infrastructure, its malls, hotels, and entertainment facilities, is what most people come for and what most people experience. The reef below is available for snorkeling and recreational diving, and some visitors do enter the water. But the proportion of people who come to Kish and engage meaningfully with its marine ecosystem compared to those who come and do not is roughly the proportion of people who stop to look at the ground while walking through a busy airport terminal. Kish has functioned as a commercial node for at least 1,000 years. The ruins of Hara, an 11th century city on the island's north coast, document a settlement that sustained Indian, Arab, and Chinese merchant traffic for centuries during the height of the maritime Silk Road. Traders stopped here to resupply, to negotiate, to wait out weather. The reef below them was not the reason they came. It was simply there, underneath the commerce, underneath the history, underneath the current round of development, unchanged in its fundamental structure across the entirety of that record. Two worlds are separated here by only a few meters of vertical distance. Above, the most commercially active island in the Persian Gulf. Below, an organism carrying in its biology a potential answer to one of the most urgent questions in ocean science. The question is whether anyone looks down in time. The world reads Hormuz through radar and satellite, a strategic asset, a pressure point. And the world is not wrong. But the strait has two surfaces. Below the waterline, a different logic runs. Seagrass cycles, migration corridors, thermal adaptation, food chains older than any political arrangement above them. Every place here shares one pattern, essential, silent, invisible, until it fails. The dolphins don't announce their stress. The coral doesn't send alerts. The flamingos simply stop returning. The first sign of failure will not be a warning. It will be an absence. The deepest thing Hormuz contains is not oil. The instruments that would tell us are already in the water. We have not yet decided to read them.